And this was years ago. They were little. They used to walk down there, they go surfing, walk past your picture. And one day I got them all in the car. We were standing out front of the house, and my kids freaked out that it was Mike Casey. Oh my God, it's Mike Casey.
That's good.
So marketing works. Yeah, that's great. I think Hunter over here was in that car, and I think he's thinking about getting his license and lighting his hair.
That's good.
Yeah, gosh, welcome everybody. How do you like the new venue? Fun? So Brendan's suggestion to change it up. If I'm too loud, we were going to do it at Marie's big listing, but she sold it. Woohoo!
30 days from the day I hit the MLS till the day I got my check.
Wow. Love it. Woohoo! Love it. Love it. So, I was going to have you all stand up, but you all look so cozy. So, grab someone next to you. Don't start talking yet. Don't start talking yet. Okay, two things. Where your next deal is coming from. Where's your next deal coming from? Who is it? And then what you did that was fun this summer. Ready, go. All right. Is that fun, Connie? And Connie, Lizbeth, and Malcolm. Stand up. Put your hands up. Connie, Malcolm, yep, and Lizbeth. They have started an accountability group. So put your hands up again. If you want to be in the accountability group, talk to these 3, 4. There we go. Sarah. Yay. Okay. Yeah. And they'll tell you about it and how to get involved. So it's a great thing as we head into the last quarter. Your first quarter of 2020, that sounds so futuristic, is going to depend on your last quarter of 2019. So we're almost there. I can't believe it. So what you're doing now is what's going to make the beginning of the year awesome for you, and your holidays, and tax time. So, great time to get into accountability, hold yourself accountable. You guys know how to do that. Don't forget about classes. I'm just going to do a couple quick announcements. We're going to give it to Amy, and then we have some great guest speakers, so I won't talk long. Don't forget classes Monday. Every Monday from 11 till 12. You don't have to be new to be in the classes. All the newbies come, it's awesome, but you can be seasoned. Maybe you need just a little touch-up on something, so make sure when you get that marketing update every week from Brandon, it'll tell you what's going on. A couple things. Brandon, where is Brandon? Brandon, thank you for everything you do, by the way. Can we all give Brandon a round of applause? Yeah. And Patrick and Hunter over here. Yeah. So Brandon's doing one on how to retain clients and provide excellent service. Does anybody need to do that? So that could be good. And then Lindsay, you're here somewhere from First American. Yep. She's doing one on how to make the most out of your farm and find out through analytics who's more likely to move. Is that right? Did I get that right? Yeah. Yeah. So some cool stuff definitely coming up. Don't forget that we still are offering the 50% referral fee if you bring in an agent. I've got it. Most of you came from somebody in here. Maybe you did a deal, maybe it was someone you knew, and so that's why I think we're so cohesive as a group. So if you bring someone in that we hire, you get 50% of company dollar for their first 3 closings. All you got to do is send them to us. Don't send us people that you don't really know. Like, make sure they're somewhat interested. Some people just send names. You can do that. I want a warm or a hot lead. Yeah, but it's, Marie's done quite a bit. It's really helpful. Yeah, and it's like getting a referral fee. So, thank you for that. Okay, give it to Amy.
Just briefly, so what an amazing group, so thank you for coming. There's, the thing that I wanted to say is, we got a lot of feedback from people that attended a recent conference from one of the top coaches, I won't name his name, but in the country, and a lot of feedback was, it was kind of scary. It was kind of negative. There's a lot of people in here doing amazing stuff, having, if not their best year, right up there with some of their best years. There's a lot of deals happening. There's a lot of multiple offers happening. There's amazing interest rates. Stay in your lane. Stop listening to the noise. And stay focused. Know that we're here for you. I just met with somebody, I think it was on Tuesday. We tweaked, refined, and now he's ready to go. And he's going to kill it. And it's up here. So if you believe it, if you want it, make your plan. Like Susan says, start doing it now, and you'll be setting yourself up for hopefully a great fourth quarter and then an even better first quarter. So that's what I wanted to say. And, and then towards the end of the year, I'm just going to say this, there's a lot of changes, I guess, code things. One of the biggest ones with home inspection is in 2020, there's not going to be allowed to have Freon for the air conditioning units, which is really interesting. So it comes back to setting expectations with your clients. How many sellers do you think are going to give a brand new air conditioning unit if it's working? Probably not. So you need to know if this house was built before, it may have it. Educate your buyer that, hey, just letting you know, you can ask for it, but don't go thinking you're going to get it because it's probably unlikely. It's a code thing, and it's going to fall on you. So we're going to try to find out all the different codes that may be changing, and then we'll update you on that by the end of the year, so you're ready for next year. And that's it.
Amy's going to do a little, at the end. So if you want to stay at the end and pitch anything, wouldn't that be great to do some deals? Laura, great idea. Amy? So if you've got something to pitch or you're looking for something, we're going to do a little, like, 10-minute at the end. So feel free to stay after Vicki's finished speaking. Is Zach Lewis? There he is. Come on up, Zach. So I want to introduce just a great guy who reached out to me, and I get so many emails that I couldn't stop but reach out to you. So I'm going to read what you did because I'll mess it up. But he was a Naval Special Warfare boat operator. Yep. And his wife is a San Diego sheriff. And you wrote the most amazing intro email because half of them I delete and the other half I never call. He has a really great program. We're just busy. There's a lot. We all get inundated with stuff. He has a great program, and we're going to do a drawing for one of his gifts. So let me introduce Integrity Bottles, Zach Lewis.
Hey guys. I appreciate the support. So my wife and I started a company while I was in the military. It's called Integrity Bottles. We found this company when we started etching the command logos onto some of the bottles, right? We put the command logos and we etched the commanders' names for retirements and change of command ceremonies. And when we presented the bottle, we saw the reaction, and we knew that this was really something special. It was something that made a really good day even better, made it really memorable. So we started the company, and while I was in the military, we got super busy, deploying all the time, had lots of training missions and regular missions out, across the world. And so my wife had an idea, hey, why don't we put wine glasses and whiskey glasses on Etsy and Amazon? And then the company just started growing from there. We're primarily a e-commerce company, but we're kind of coming back to our roots right now. We just opened up a little location out in Santee. It has a little showroom, and we're pulling back to the military and back to the real estate communities and saying, hey, these are amazing client gifts. If a client buys a house and they need something special to remember the agents and the process with, we can make really cool designs customizable to everybody. So I just wanted to, let you guys know what we did and that we're here and show you guys some of our products. I have a brochure with the cost. It's very reasonable for, say, a decanter. For a bottle, that one is about $59 fully customized. You put whatever text you want on there. But we're doing a deal for Coastal Premier where you guys get 20% off everything. So our entire store, you guys get 20% off.
So this is for you. It says, thank you for being a premier agent with us, Coastal Premier Properties. You could do, glasses, wine glasses, it could say anything. You could have your info, you just have the date they got their house. If you want to keep it more simple, it could say Coastal Premier, but obviously you don't have to have that. You have your choice on what goes on there. So we're gonna, it's so nice of you to bring these, and we're gonna do a drawing right now for two of them. So the first one.
Stephanie Long.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, no problem. And this next one's a decanter. It's really special. It's one of our most popular. Carlos Mauricio. So congrats, guys. We do have a little bit of a display over in the back of some of the other kind of design options and bottle options. There's also a little flyer going around which explains, here's your discount code. You guys can use it. And we set up a special online page. You guys are the first real estate company to have this, and it's on our website, integritybottles.com. If you go to My Products, there's a menu link that says My Products. You have to be logged in with your Coastal Premier email address. It's a private page, and it'll show all your branded items. So if your artists come up with any kind of special designs for you, we can post them there for easy access.
Put a round of applause for Zach. Thank you so much. I hope you have air conditioning in Santee. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have First American is here, and then Vicki Boynton will be speaking to us thereafter. So for those of you who don't know the trio, Lindsay Turr, Phil Baker, and Michael Murphy from First Am are going to give us I could tell you what it's going to be, but it's really great stuff that will really help you when you're out in the field. So let's welcome the First American team. Awesome.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. I don't have anything to raffle, but keep in mind, now that I'm telling you this, if you have a gopher problem, please call us. I have found out that Phil Baker is a master specialist in getting rid of gophers. In fact, I've got somebody that's texting me right now. We've set traps, Phil and I set traps, and we think we might have a gopher. So he's a gopher killer. Okay, I didn't want to say the word killer, but he can get rid of gophers for you. But anyway, thank you very much. My name is Michael Murphy, Phil Baker, Lindsay Turr. We're with First American Title, and we would love to do business with all of you. Some of you we already do business with. And one of the ways to do that is we try to add value. Today we're going to talk about a couple of things. One, the widening of 5, which I think impacts all of us as well as our clients. I'm going to talk about the Del Mar track, and I don't mean the racetrack, I mean the railroad, and what plans are being done to rectify that problem. Phil's going to talk a little bit about a scenario regarding title, that you'll get a better idea of what we do by hearing that scenario. And then Lindsay's going to talk about a TV show that we're associated with now. We'd love you to take advantage of it. It's free. We'll help you. We'll walk you through it. And it's a great way to market yourself and get yourself on a video. And so we want you to take advantage of that. So, Phil, would you hand out that map? So I'm going to talk about the widening of 5. Phil's going to pass out a map, and it's called North Coast Corridor Program, Phase 1. So you'll need to be looking at that map. I'm going to use the map as a reference point, but I'll ask this question. Who thinks that the traffic on I-5 is getting better? Okay. I won't even ask the stupid question opposite to that. Obviously, we've experienced more traffic over the last few years, and it doesn't appear to be getting any better, and it probably won't. But this is one of the plans that our county has put together, and it's really amazing. So I'm going to go through it really quickly once you get that map. If you need a copy of my report, which spells out the dates and times and how the phases are going to be done, good to know. By the time it's done, I'm not so sure that I'll be alive, but it's supposed to be done by 2030, 2040, so it's going to take quite a while, but it's really, really well planned out. You should be really proud of what they've done to make this, make San Diego a better place to move around in. So if you look at the map, you'll see 5, and you'll see 5 going north to south. There's Buena Vista Lagoon, and just below that you'll see 2 little honeycomb things. Those are sound walls, one on the east side, one on the west side. Then moving down, we have Agua Hedionda Lagoon in Carlsbad. We move down to Poinsettia Lane, and you can see the sound walls on the east side. And then we see Bataquitos Lagoon, and there's 2 symbols that are bridges. Both of those bridges are going to be replaced. So one of them goes over 5, and the other one goes over the lagoon via the railroad track. Then we go south, we get to Leucadia Boulevard, and you see a few more sound walls. You also see a red line, and that's going to be a pedestrian walkway that they're going to build into this whole program. And then going south, we go past Encinitas Boulevard, a couple more sound walls, and then we get to San Elijo Lagoon, and you'll see 2 more bridges. Same thing. One of the bridges is going over 5, and the other one's going over the track for the lagoon. Those are already been done. So that is part of the program that's already started. So we're going to get started with an overview. The project is going to cost $6.5 billion by the time it's done. It's going to be, it's not just about widening the 5. It's going to be about expanding the railroad traffic. It's going to have pedestrian trails. So it's and environmental issues built into it. So I think it's a fabulous program. It started in 2013 and will take over 30 years. It actually started around 2000. If we all remember when they expanded the merge and they pushed the traffic north from where it used to stop. At that point of I-5, I think it's the widest freeway in the world. There's 22 lanes at the merge. So that's my understanding anyway. Project being done by SANDAG, which is the San Diego Association of Governments. and Caltrans, which is the California Department of Transportation. And who's paying for this? Guess who? We are. We're paying it through federal, state, and local taxes, but a big part of it is going to be paid through our sales tax. A half a penny is going towards the transportation improvements. A little background. San Diego, the population expanded, or it's doubled since the 1960s when I-5 was actually built. And nothing significant has been done since. So it's time. It's not necessarily the solution. We're running a little bit behind time. The traffic is already here, so we're going to be playing a catch-up game for the next couple of decades. I-5 is the lifeline from San Diego to LA to Orange County and down to Baja California, so it's critical that this happen. The project will be completed in 3 phases. First phase, $700 million, and it started in 2013. You probably saw a lot of work being done in Solana Beach up to Manchester over the San Elijo Bridge. And the main part that will take place, and this timetable is 2013 to 2020. This is phase 1. The project will add 1 express lane in each direction, which doesn't seem like much, but there's only 4 lanes to begin with, so you add 1 more lane, and you've got 25% increase, so it really is going to help. So why is it called an express lane that's being added each way? It used to be called a carpool or an HOV lane. That's yesteryear's terminology. The express lane will allow someone that wants to carpool to take advantage of it. It'll allow for motorcycles, it'll allow for buses, but it'll also allow for people that want to drive solo, that want to pay by Fast Track, which they do on I-15, north and south, and it works really well. So people will have a choice. Do you want to pay the money and hopefully get to where you're going faster, or do you want to just sit in traffic? So you will have an option, and that's why it's called an express lane and not an HOV lane any longer. The other part of the project is to improve tidal flow, which I'll get back to, and then add sound walls to mitigate the noise. So, speaking of highway expansion, as I said, 1 lane will be added each way, north and south. Adding 1 more lane, as I said, will increase the capacity by 25%. Presently, there's 200,000 vehicles that are on 5 in the North Coastal area. They expect it to go to 300,000, so it's 50% greater in just 10 years. So this is a problem that's not going away. But to put things in perspective, what's the busiest highway in North America? I'm sure we all know because it's not very far from here. Take a guess. 405. Someone said 405. 405, according to the U.S. Department of Transportation, serves an estimated 379,000 vehicles a day. So almost double what we're serving. So it gives you an idea of what we're trying not to be. That would be Interstate 405. So to begin with, along the Santa Fe, Solana Beach to Birmingham, you've probably noticed a lot of work being done. All of that work has been done outside of the freeway, on the outside. So there's really been no interruptions. They've been able to do it without, it slows traffic down, but they haven't closed any lanes, which is really an incredible thing. And then from there, from Birmingham up to Palomar Airport Road, and if you want to look at your map, not sure where those points are, all of that work has been done in the inside or the median of I-5 without any lane closures. So it's pretty remarkable how they've done it. One of the things that part of the program is the Manchester Freeway Access Ramp. You've probably seen a lot of activity over there. And what Caltrans did was they bought 25 acres of wonderful scenic strawberry fields, unfortunately. But what it's going to do is it accommodate a park and ride, and that's going to be the key entry point for to get on and off the expressway lane. So that'll become very, very busy. That won't be done for another 10 years, but the park and ride is being built right now. The railroad expansion, they're going to replace the single-track wooden railroad trusses across San Elijo and Bataquitos lagoons with a double-tracked concrete bridge. So that's going to double the capacity for the railroad. San Elijo restoration expected to be completed this year, so it's almost there. Then they're going to build bicycle and pedestrian bridges. If you look on your map, you can see where those bike trails are. And then second is they're going to improve tidal flow. The interesting thing here is instead of just building 2 lanes, putting a new bridge in, they really thought it out. So what they're going to do is make the bridges longer, so there's fewer piers that are going, or piles that are going into the water. So it's going to open up tidal flow. So it'll actually go back to the way it was 50 years ago. It'll bring in more plants and more fish. So that's a real plus. Then lastly, they're going to add sound walls, which is shown on the map. Property owners, and they've already done this, they've already sent out notices to everybody that's going to be affected, as far as I know. The owner will have to sign a contract, so you have to agree to it. But I don't know that there's a real downside to this. Do you want to live with a lot of traffic noise, or do you want to sign a contract? So it's pretty straightforward. Caltrans Sandag will be responsible for the integrity of the sound wall, but it'll be the homeowner's responsibility to maintain it. So that may not agree with everyone. But phase 1, phase 2, it's going to be the same thing all over again. They're going to start in La Jolla and come up to 56, add 1 more lane. They're going to replace that bridge in Carmel Valley, and then they're going to go from there up to Loma Santa Fe, same thing, up to Manchester to Palomar Airport Road, and then the last extension will go all the way up to Oceanside, Vandergrift. So it's going to look exactly the same. So we are going to be looking at traffic, well, I should say, road changes for the next 20 or 30 years. So get used to that. Phase 3 timetable 2031 to 2040, and that's when they're going to finish the part to the north with Palomar Airport Road up to 78, and then they're going to replace the Agua Hedionda Bridge. And when they're all done, 2040, we will have a project with 4 express lanes throughout the length of the corridor, spanning 27 miles from San Diego to Oceanside. So, and 4 lanes, there's only 8 lanes now, so you're looking at a 50% increase, which is amazing that they've been able to do it without interfering with our everyday lives. Any questions about the I-5 widening and how it might impact you or your clients? Yes.
The bike trail is listed on Logan. You know, that one next to railroad tracks.
that'll be all gone.
Goes up to Santa Fe. Do you know if they're going to expand that on the north? Does anyone know?
I don't know. I haven't heard. It could. I'm sure they'll tie it in. I'm sure of it. Yeah. And then real quickly, regarding the train track in Del Mar, there's been a lot of talk about it. You've probably read there's been the bluffs are starting to give way. I guess there's 50 trains a day that go over the tracks along the bluffs. They're starting to have some problems with stability. So SANDAG, and San Diego Association of Governments, has a plan for removing the tracks from the bluffs in Del Mar and building a tunnel, and I'll tell you what their options are in a second. Before they do that, they're going to have to stabilize the bluffs. So that's going to be for the next 10, 20 years, and then they're going to start building a tunnel. There's 5 options for the tunnel. The first one is to go right beneath where we're sitting right now. So it's to go along Camino del Mar, underneath Camino del Mar, right through the center of Del Mar. It's actually the cheapest, fastest plan that they have. Number 2 and 3, if you take the Brigantine restaurant and you draw a line along where Crest Canyon is and go that way, that's the second route, and that's a tunnel. There's 2 different types of tunnels that they may consider. That is the speediest option. And I don't know if that means it'll take less time or the trains will be faster, I'm sorry. And then the fourth and fifth option is to go from the Brigantine, go through the fairgrounds and go over to 5. And the tunnel will be built almost under 5 or just to the side of I-5. And then the fifth option is just to the east of I-5. And the reason that might be a more acceptable way to go is because they won't need to acquire as much property. And we know how difficult it is to acquire property from personal. So, as I said, SANDAG right now has to deal with the stabilization project that started in 2003. And what they do is they have 3-foot piles, and they drive them, they're concrete, they drive them down next to the track, go down 65 feet into solid ground below. It's very, very expensive to do, but it's the only option right now, and they've been doing it since 2003. Hopefully, nothing will happen up until they finally get the tunnels built. In the event of a bluff failure, the economic cost would range from, for a 180-day rail closure, be $173 million, and for a 1-year closure would cost $310 million. So they want to avoid that, plus all of the annoyance of all the extra traffic on I-5. So hopefully they can get the stabilization in place and then get going on the tunnel. So anyway, any questions about the tunnels? Yes. Correct. So the question is, do the public have an option, do they have the ability to give a vote and make their decision or what they think known? Troy, what do you think the answer to that is?
Wow. I would think that your first bet would be to go to whoever your local politician is that happens to be a member of the SANDAG board and poll them to see what their opinion is on it as it relates to their specific. But then the next option would be to find out what the SANDAG Board of Directors meeting is, and they have public speaking elements in their agenda, and then you could go forth and express what your concern is, or what your preference is. But I think the first volley would be to find out who your local politician is, who represents the city of Del Mar on the board of SANDAG, and then they would probably be able to give you some info on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Marie. I'm going to pass it on to Phil. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say if it's going to increase value. I would think it's going to be I think it's going to be a good thing ultimately, but I don't know along the way. But I'm going to put Phil on. Phil's going to give a quick title scenario, and then Lindsay.
Hello. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm gonna go longer than Michael. Okay, so I wanted to, my name's Phil, I work with Lindsay, and I do a lot of the stats and market analysis. So if you ever need information about a zip code, a neighborhood, let us know. We have, we started using this, we came across this monthly report from SDAR. Has anyone seen this report? One, anybody? One person? Two? Okay. This is a great report. If you haven't seen it and you want us to email it to you, just let us know. They have a nice commentary every single month about what's happening in the market. So if someone asks you, what's the market doing? How's the market? Is that right? There's lots of little pieces of information that you can use on just the first page here. Copy and paste, put it in whatever social media or email blast, and then I'll pass this around. There's 15 pages to it, but there's tons of graphs and charts, and so you could have this at an open house, listing appointment, send it out to your sphere. Anybody ever have trouble with content? What do I send my sphere of influence? Everybody good on content or no? What do we send? It's all here. I really like this. So this is county, that's a great question. This is county-wide, so no matter where you're at, this is a good overall, it uses MLS data, so just keep that in mind. So it doesn't get the off-market stuff or the new construction. But there's a lot of data in the entire county, so this is a good report. So it shows you trends of active, pending, sold. So this is I really like this and I use this. So this is in addition to the monthly sales comp report that we do. Does anybody look at that report? Everybody gets it, right? If you don't get our monthly sales comp report, let one of us know and we'll put you on the list. So we do a monthly sales report for Del Mar, Solana Beach, Carmel Valley, Rancho Santa Fe, Santa Luz, and it shows everything, new construction, for sale by owners, off market, everything is in there. So that's a great report. It's the only report that I've seen that breaks everything down by neighborhood, right? So Carmel Valley, 165 neighborhoods plus. It's all broken down in that report. So I do that myself. I'll send it out to you. And it really works. It does. Okay. Yes, Michael? I'm not done. One title thing. We do title insurance. It sounds like Michael works for, Caltrans, but he doesn't. We work for First American Title. And so we actually do, we are really committed on all of our files. I just wanted to share one story. Last week, someone texted me, and I'll paraphrase, but he said, I got an issue, here's my client's name, he has an unsecured tax bill, and we can't close this property. Does anyone know what an unsecured tax bill, what does that mean? Does anyone know? Does anyone know how to get rid of it? That's okay, if you don't know, I didn't know either. So, okay, there's one person, okay. So usually, we're in an escrow. Escrow will say, okay, you have to do this, or title say we have to do this. This guy was closing, and it popped up. And I'll get to that part later. But it popped up, and we've got this recorded, unsecured tax lien. What do we do? So the owner said, I paid it. Here's the check. I paid it. So so I dropped everything, and it's a little embarrassing because I found out it wasn't even my deal. So it's okay. So it wasn't our deal. I don't care. I'll drop everything. I went down to the tax collector's office. I showed them the form. I showed they paid for it. They said, "Oh yeah, we'll send a form out to the property owner." I go, "He doesn't own. First of all, he doesn't own property. Second of all, we're in the middle of an escrow. We need to get this taken care of right away." So she makes a phone call. The clerk makes a phone call. Someone comes out from across the hallway with, this was after like 20 minutes, comes out with a filled out form for us to release. It's great. Go upstairs, wait in another line, get it recorded. Once it was recorded, I took a picture, emailed it, done. We're done, right? So that was a success story. And that's us getting involved, taking care of a problem, even though it wasn't our order. It's fine. We'll make up for it. But the question came up, Why? He's buying it, right? He's buying a property. He's in the middle of escrow, and he's got an unsecured tax lien. Unsecured means it's not tied to property, but he's paying cash on a property, investment property. How did that show up? Anyone? How did it show up? So it's not on the title report because he's the buyer, right? Not the seller. He's buying it. So this other title company, I won't say who it is. Other title company requires a statement of information on the buyer. Did you know that? Do you have buyers that are required to fill out a statement of information? So it showed up. We filled out the statement of they filled out the statement of information, and it showed up on the name index, right? So First American Title, we don't care what your buyer has going on. We never require a statement of information for a buyer. So lots of lessons on this one. So yeah, so other companies require it, and it was last minute, and so it almost killed that deal. So anyway, that's my success story. We get involved in a lot of our files. We walk properties, we read title reports, we go to the city and the county and do all these things to, yes? Elizabeth?
I just want to say, Phil drove up to Los Angeles for me once to pick something up.
Forgot about that, yes.
I will never forget that.
Yes, it was like a quarry. It was really
It was
interesting.
involved,
Very
like,
interesting.
Property, and so thank you.
Thank you.
You made it happen, otherwise that would never have happened.
Yeah. So just think about that when you're writing contracts and you're trying to get us on title. I think it makes a difference. Yeah, and that's why we do it. Thanks, everybody. Any questions?
I'm going to be really quick. We are now partnered up with a local TV show that is available to anyone who wants to utilize it. It's called San Diego's Hot Properties. I do have some sheets here with the sign-up link. It's great for promoting any of your new listings or up-and-coming listings. You go in studio, it's in Sorrento Valley. You get interviewed by the show host while they're showcasing photos of your listing, and it's about a 5-minute segment. You get the copy of your video segment to use to make your sellers really happy, to promote it on social media, to email it out to your database, and there's no pressure to use any of the partners that are involved with the show. Yes.
I was contacted and I've done it before, but now they're asking me to use the restroom.
So there's another show out there that's called List It Live. This is totally different from that, which that one I have heard they really put on the pressure to use title and escrow, and we said we don't want to have any part of that. We just want to be a value add to our agents. If they want to utilize it for their marketing, that's it. So there's no pressure to use us. We just want to offer that to you so you know about it. smartersandiego.com/SDHP. I have these if you want one. That's how you sign up, and it's a lot of fun. Susan did it. David's done it. So it's just a great thing to utilize. And then hopefully I will see you guys on the 16th for the Farm Genie and digital marketing update. So thank you. Sorry, one more thing. We do our real estate pitch for Del Mar right here, where you're sitting every single Monday at 4 o'clock. So we'd love to have more Coastal Premier agents there, if you can make it out.
With cocktails. Yeah. And deals get done in that room. That's a really good pitch, absolutely. So, and it's a great segue into Caravan on Tuesday. So, yeah, so that's a lot of fun right here. That's kind of how we found this room. So Brandon, we're going to do one more drawing. Brandon, you want to come up to do that? And then we're going to go to Vicki Boyington, who's going to give us all kinds of great information. Can we thank First American for coming? Thank you. That was great info. Michael, thank you.
Yeah, so we're going to give away 3-month free of social media and email marketing packages. So whoever gets drawn, meet with me or give me your social media information, and we'll handle your social media for 3 months. And if you're already in it, yeah, you just get it 3 months free. So
you're doing the social media program. Most people who start don't stop. It's pretty cool because it's just done for you. So here we go. Pick the lucky name.
Jeannie.
Yay! please.
And Scott Wade.
Scott, oh good. Glad you came now, right? Oh good. So we're going to introduce our last guest, and just thanks everyone for being here. And then again at the end, if you want to do the pitch, if you got something to pitch, Amy will be leading that, so make sure to stay. So we get a lot of calls and texts from you guys, which is why we're here. We need something. We get a lot of, I need a real estate attorney, or my client needs a real estate attorney. Those calls should come to us. If you're referring your client to a real estate attorney, send 3, okay? So one of the 3 could be this next person, and that's why we've had her. She is with Selecki and Larson. Some of you know Pete Selecki, who's spoken here before. And so we thought we'd have Vicki out. She was the counsel for Berkshire Hathaway at one point. And she's going to go through a lot of real estate risk management, which is always so interesting to keep us out of trouble. What's going on right now? So if we could please give a round of applause for Vicki Boyington.
All right. Well, instead of risk management, I'm going to talk about the widening of the 8 freeway that's going to start in 2040. So, I'm kidding. Yes, I am a real estate attorney, and we do a lot of buyer-seller litigation, but we also do a lot of, advising of brokers and escrow and other real estate companies. So the good thing about referring to our firm is that we don't sue brokers. We just have a general rule. Now there are brokers out there who deserve to be sued, but we just won't do it. It's too hard for us to figure out whether we've represented anybody before. We just have a general rule, no broker. No broker suits, no agent suits. So you can be assured if you refer your client to our firm that all of a sudden you're not going to see your name on a lawsuit, which happens all the time. And I can't tell you the most terrifying thing is to see your name on a lawsuit. You might not think it is, but when your name is on there and it's file stamped and you know you're going to have to deal with that, and I'm going to say 80 to 85% of the time your name is on that lawsuit only because you were in the transaction. You didn't do anything wrong. And my sister's a real estate agent with RE/MAX. And when I used to work at Berkshire Hathaway, we used to kid each other that we both worked on the dark side. She never could understand, big brokerages because she, as RE/MAX, she does everything on her own. And she used to say, I don't understand you people in California. I've never been sued. We don't get sued. Well, one reason is that attorneys handle the closings in Connecticut. That's where she's from. And that's good because the attorneys make sure that the buyers and sellers understand the transaction. Why? Because they don't want to get sued. Okay, so there's a lot more information. Unfortunately, we don't have that here. And, your great escrow agents and stuff, they can't give any advice because they're not lawyers. Your rules of ethics say what? You may not conduct the unauthorized practice of law. What do you do every day? You conduct the unauthorized practice of law. You're drafting contracts. You're advising clients on their disclosures. You're doing all of these things, right? So you're violating your rules of ethics every single day. Okay, we kind of look the other way and we pretend that you're not doing that. That's why it's important that you do everything correctly. Can you do everything correctly every single time? Never. Lawyers can't even do that. And we're superior to everybody, right? It's funny, I was listening to this in the very beginning. I love coming to real estate meetings because everybody's like, go for it, uplifting, everybody's happy, it's really good. I mean, if we had this many lawyers in a room, it would be like a funeral. It would be so depressing, and everybody be trying to one-up each other and how much knowledge they have. I have no friends that are lawyers, by the way, and I have lots of friends who are real estate agents, so go figure. But keep in mind, you can't do every transaction perfectly. If you're a brand new agent, you're probably going to have the best files ever. Why is that? Because you have one file. You have one client. You're constantly communicating with that client. You're telling that client what's going on. You want to make sure everything is perfect. Fast forward 6 months. Now you've got 50 clients in a perfect world, right? How can you deal with 50 clients? You can't. So you start pushing things off to your assistant. You start pushing things off to your transaction coordinator. You start pushing things off, to your dog. Doesn't matter. You've got that many balls up in the air, guess what's going to happen? One of them's going to come down and smack you in the head. How do you avoid that? There's a lot of ways to avoid it. One, don't forget you can speak to your client. Now that sounds stupid, but we are in a world now where everybody texts, DocuSigns, never sees the client, emails, whatever, okay? Remember, you still can, everybody has a cell phone here, right? You can use that as a phone. You do understand that. It receives and it gives calls, okay? You can use it as a phone, don't forget. Don't also forget, as real estate agents, most of you have cars, correct? You're not Ubering to everywhere you go. Everybody have a car? That car can go to your listing, even though it may already be in escrow. You can still get in your car and you can drive to that listing and you can say to your seller, hey, remember me? Remember when I came 3 months ago and I took the listing? It's too many listing agents go and do these fabulous presentations, color photos, and what I'm going to do, how I'm going to market. I mean, they're beautiful presentations. And then what's the number one thing I hear when a seller is disgruntled with his agent? I never saw that agent again. They came and did the presentation. I never saw them again. I can tell you one case I had where they were sued, the seller was suing, and I said to him, who is this person that you want to go after? And he said, he was calling me, I wasn't going to take the case, he wasn't going to sue anybody, but he was disgruntled. This is when I was at Berkshire Hathaway. I said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, he was telling me about his agent. And I'm like, are you sure that agent works here? That agent doesn't sound familiar. And he goes, yes, this is my agent. He gives me the name of the agent. So I also happen to deal with all the in-house transaction coordinators. He thought his agent was the transaction coordinator. He had never once dealt with the agent after the listing. Okay? Communication is the number one reason that real estate agents get sued. My agent never communicated with me. I don't know who they are. They never, they threw me off to a team member. I hired them because I wanted this agent, and I never saw that agent again. Don't be afraid to communicate with your client. Now you have a fabulous escrow. Everybody behaves themselves. It closes in 30 days. You get your check. Everybody's happy. And you get a call from your client 2 weeks later. Don't be afraid to call them back. Everybody thinks if I call them back, there's something wrong with the house. Okay? I can guarantee that most of the time, it's because their sister now wants to buy a house and they want to know if you work in that particular area. And if not, can you refer somebody to them? Don't be afraid to call them back. If you call them back and they tell you, why didn't you tell me there was no roof on this house? Well, there's a problem, but it's a problem you can deal with, okay? You can say, don't say to them, oh, that rotten listing agent, they should have told us there was no roof on the house. I can't believe this, we're gonna go after them. No, do not do that. Tell them that you're sorry that they're experiencing some difficulties with their purchase, You will reach out to the listing agent. You will see, what you can do to help. Do not say, I'm going to fix this, because your client will think you're going to fix it. I can guarantee you can't fix it, okay? If you can fix it, you are probably a miracle worker, okay? Just tell them, I will look into it. Call the listing agent, explain the situation to them, and it will probably get resolved. Don't tell your client you should sue them, because your name will be on that lawsuit, okay? Be calm with a very panicked person, especially like somebody, even if they've bought 1 million houses in the past, they're gonna act like a first-time home buyer. And they're gonna blame you. Okay? Don't try and avoid issues during escrow. That is the #1 time to settle problems. Okay? Your buyer is in love with the house, doesn't care that there isn't a roof. Okay? But if there isn't a roof on the house, point it out to your client. Say, by the way, if you look up, the sky is beautiful today, but it's usually a good idea to have a roof on a house. Okay? If you see something in the house that looks bad, don't tell your client, see that black spot up there? That must be black mold. Never use the word black mold. I don't care if you're a chemist, a structural engineer, I don't care what your hat you wore before you became a real estate agent. Never identify anything. Okay? I had this happen. Buyer's agent put on their AVID, black mold on the ceiling. Threw the seller into a tizzy. Seller said, fine, buyer cancel, I don't care. Everybody panicked, everybody was running around like chickens with their heads cut off. So, listing agent asked the seller, well, do you ever notice that? Of course I noticed that. That spot's been there for 15 years. Well, do you know what that is? I know what that is. Well, what is that spot? I had teenage sons. They're grown up now, but they were teenagers at the time. Okay, what does that have to do with a black spot up there? He says it's brown. It's not black. Okay, my 2 sons thought they would be fun to see how far Coke would shoot out of a can and if they could actually hit the ceiling. That's what the black mold was. It was just Coca-Cola. And the seller never got rid of it, because every time the kids started saying, we should try this, he would just point to the ceiling. So deal with these issues as you see them, because a buyer will say to you, if there's a problem that comes up in the course of the escrow, there's a leak under the sink, or I'll give you another example. House was in escrow, and teenage son, it's always the teenage sons, I don't know why, is pulling into the garage and kind of mistakes the accelerator for the brake and shoots through the house. Not all the way through, but just enough to put a nice dent in the drywall, nice hole. Buyer comes to do their final walkthrough. Panics. Absolutely panics. There's this hole, I didn't know about it, what's going to happen? Fortunately, the seller had told the listing agent, and the listing agent had called the buyer's agent, and the buyer's agent looked at his buyers and said exactly what happened. Seller has the repair guy coming out tomorrow. It's all going to be fixed tomorrow, and we're allowed to come back in again to make sure that it's all been fixed. Buyer, calm down, but those are the things that can be dealt with in escrow. If there's a leak and you tell the other side there's a leak and it's going to get fixed, everybody's happy, nobody cares. It takes us back to disclosures. If you ask yourself, or your seller asks you, do I need to disclose this? What is the answer? Yes. There is no such thing. I don't believe anything is absolute except for one thing. You can never over-disclose. You just can't. And when I sold my last house, there was a crack in my garage. Nothing wrong, separate pour, it was just a crack, hadn't gotten any bigger. And I actually, when I bought the house, got a structural engineering report. I didn't, but my seller did, and they'd given it to me. Well, being a lawyer who does litigation, I had my files from 10 years ago. So when I went to close on this house, I gave this, I don't know, it was probably 15 years old at that point, structural engineering report, that detailed exactly the size of that crack and what was going on and how it wasn't anything with the foundation. Of course, I was selling my house to a lawyer, and the lawyer was like, you must fix this foundation. I said, here you go. Here's your report. I'm not fixing anything. Okay? So it's always good to ask your seller, do you have any prior reports? I'm in a case right now where my client remodeled a house. He bought it. He's not a flipper, but he occasionally will buy a house, fix it up, and sell it. But he doesn't do it as a living or anything like that. He doesn't do a lot of real estate transactions. His real estate agent did not tell him to turn over the reports that he got when he purchased the house. So now we're in litigation because there's supposedly, there was a crack in the flooring before they put the flooring on. They disclosed the crack. They disclosed what they did to fill the crack. And of course, fast forward, now we're being sued for a slab foundation problem and that we didn't disclose it, which we did, but they're saying because we didn't disclose it that it was a gigantic hole or a gigantic crack, we just minimized it, which my client minimized it because he just parroted what the contractor told him. And if they had given the prior reports, it would have been additional information to show that there was a crack in the floor. Okay. Now the cabinets are falling, the counters are falling off the walls and cabinets, and every time because we had somebody come out and measure it, and it's not leaning, or there's not really any foundational problem with the house. So now everything's falling off the walls. So we'll see what happens with that case. But remember, you as a real estate agent have an obligation to disclose everything that you know or should know about the property. The should know is where everybody gets hung up. It's very easy to disclose what you know, but what should you know? What you should know is that if your client bought this house a year ago, your client has some other reports. If your client says, no, I threw everything away, well, then at least you've made that inquiry in writing to your client. Most of the time, they haven't thrown it away. And they'll haul out this document, this folder, this thick of all these things, and you can give that over to the next buyer. Likewise, if your company has handled the transaction in the past, you have an obligation, even if you didn't handle it, if it's another agent in your company that handled it, you have an obligation to turn over that, not the whole transaction file, but all of the disclosures that were contained in that file. Everybody understand that? So if you take a listing or you're putting in an offer, you should let your broker, your office assistants? Who do you have? T-Seats, okay. I didn't know who would have a file. Every company's different.
Having that communication file and email, and the next thing like this is you should email and say, do you have any previous reports? And then license yourself, and that goes in file so that you have the clues if this comes up that you did ask as well.
And do it right off the top.
Yeah.
Don't wait around. You want to get your disclosures out there as soon as possible. Because everybody thinks that, oh, I'll disclose these things and then I can wait you know, and then I can do some other disclosures later. Just get everything out. Don't do your seller disclosures, and I don't know, your company may have a different policy, but I don't like doing disclosures when you take the listing. Because what if that property doesn't sell for a year? Now your disclosures are a year old.
So usually our policy is, if, and the TCs know, or they should anyway, or Shannon does, is if they're, you know, if it's, let's say, older than like 3 months, then we're always, is there anything additional that needs to be added? And then there's an addendum. And you, as an agent, have the responsibility, if you know something broke, I usually try to, maybe I'm wrong, you do differently. I mean, I usually keep the transaction in 7 days to handle some disclosures. And, you know, people get busy and it takes a while to fill them out, so I usually get everything up front. And then if there is anything, it takes longer to sell, and or update or saying nothing's changed, or these are the things that have changed since it was written. So I don't know, but I mean.
You can do that, but if you have a busy seller, he's going to say, why did you have me do all these documents before, and now I got to supplement them all again? Your seller has to sign the contract, unless we're always doing DocuSign. But I just think it's a good idea, and you know, to get them done. The way the market is now, properties are selling faster. You know, we have faster closings, so we usually don't have that lag time. But you can use your discretion too. If you think the house is going to be a difficult sale, that it's going to take some while on the time on the market, then you might not want to do your disclosures right away. But it does avoid having to supplement them and making sure you remember to supplement them, and then you have to explain to your client, why do we have to supplement them? To me, I think it's a little bit better if you just do it all concisely at the time that you're having them sign the contract and getting into escrow, you're doing your disclosures at the same time.
Well, there you go, you heard it. There you go.
But I don't want to go against company policy.
Well, I mean, disclose, that's company policy, and.
And that's a good thing.
Can I add something? You know me, I'm about words and, you know, their meaning, and I hold on to certain things. Somebody said something to me just last night, I thought it was so brilliant, is, in our minds and how we are, there should be a pause button and a mute button. So the pause button is, because we're all like, maybe saying you're in a hurry, especially when you have multiple things going on, and you're tempted to just rush through. If you're not 100% sure on something, if it's something that's never happened before, or you know, whatever it is, take that pause, make sure you're doing it right, make sure if you're not 100% sure, you ask any of us. It will protect you in the long run. If there is any doubt and you're not sure, you better hit the pause button and be sure, right? And then the mute is, if you've got a crazy client, right? It's up to you to stay calm. And I know myself, it's taken years to get like this. I'm type A. If anybody calls me, you know, right? I'm calling you right back. I'm picking up the phone. When you have a client that is off the rail or, you know, whatever, you need to hit, number one, the mute button and know that it's coming from, it's a reflection on what they're going through, the stress that they're going through. So you can somewhat mute, hit the pause, come back to when you're calm, because if you're calm, you're going to hopefully help them to stay calm. And as Vicki said, you look for the solution. And as Tom always says, do we have a buyer that wants to buy? Do we have a seller that wants to sell? And if the answer is yes, then you come together honestly with a solution so that everybody is happy. Right, Tom?
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
That's good 2 cents. I like that, because you can't go, I've learned that a long time ago, that because lawyers are probably, next to doctors, they're probably the most difficult people to deal with. And so I just don't call lawyers back. I have one lawyer right now who I just won't call him back. And he's just arrogant, and he's like, well, this is the way we should do things, you know, in my expertise. And I'm like, you know, you were wearing diapers, buddy, when I started practicing law, so don't tell me about your expertise. But I don't say that to him. Instead, I just email him, because if I have to speak with him, it will drive me crazy. So keep that in mind. Sometimes, if you have a client who's difficult to deal with, who doesn't listen to you, make sure that those important things that you've discussed with that client are committed to writing. Save all of those. If you are a big texter, remember that those texts are also part of the transaction file. So you need to save those. Can't
or if it's another agent that's crazy, as we all know that it can be, read it 3 times and edit it. Because a lot of times, I catch myself, I'm like, nope, I added too much. Keep it short, simple, and to the point. And if you have a question, you know, email us, how does this sound? With something about texting, I don't know if you guys know, but Brandon just closed on his first home. I was the agent of the property. The seller was the agent and was the craziest, beyond crazy, agent I've ever worked with. And almost didn't happen. And she was just breaking the rules. Decided a day before closing that she was not going to pay a $3,000 credit towards closing costs. That was in the full contract that she signed, that was in the escrow instructions that she signed. Changed the rules on the home warranty because she thought she could. So, yeah. So you have to stay on text. And I know I'm kind of going someplace else. I meant there was something on the texting thing. I know what it was. You'll laugh. Okay, you'll laugh. So the agent texts me. I had to text her. And I think I was using the auto text. So I think the auto text was reading my mind. Because at the end it said, fuck you.
You're lucky. The other thing you can do, and I do this a lot, is I'll be really angry writing a responsive email. You can do that because that makes you feel better. Don't put anything in the 2 lines. So if you accidentally hit send, it will go nowhere. Okay? I also believe in reading out loud because you will find mistakes, you will find that it doesn't make sense, you will find that autocorrect has done something strange to your text or to your email. But sometimes that gets the frustration out by writing this long diatribe and you know it's not going to go anywhere, and then you can clean it up. Ask somebody, if you're in the office and you're typing up an email to somebody and you think, oh, I don't know if I've gone over the top on this, ask somebody to say, does this sound too snarky? I used to do that with a paralegal, and she didn't even bother to get up anymore. She'd just yell, if you're asking the question, yes. So, be professional. I have found that that if you have a horrific agent on the other side and you don't rise to the bait, that they will stop. They will, because you're no fun anymore. I do that with lawyers. This one lawyer, he's like always snarking at me, and I don't engage him, and so now he's stopped because he's gone on to pick on somebody else because it's much more fun. What else can we talk about? I'm pretty much done because she's stolen all my thunder. No. It's good because these are things that are happening. I mean, people are suing on disclosures. People are suing on mold. People are saying, I never knew this. You know, make sure you have these important conversations. If there's, you know, a possibility of you know, you see some moisture on the floor or underneath the sink, don't tell your client it's mold. Tell your client, you might want to have a plumber look at this. You know, you might want to do this. You might want to waive your home inspection. You know, you might want to, you know, I've seen too many times where they're like, oh no, I want to just buy the house. I don't need a home inspection. Or the seller has already done a home inspection and they hand it off to you. Have your client read it. I know that sounds stupid. Don't just send it to them. Don't just send the seller disclosures to your buyer. Don't just send them reports. Say to them, have you read the report? What, and if they'll say, oh yeah, I read it. What did you think of what was on page 5? And they're going to be like, well, what do you mean? And that they're going to go look at page 5. Now there may be nothing on page 5, but you've gotten them to look at it. HOA documents are really important to read. They're absolutely the most boring documents you could ever read. And I'm a lawyer. I read really boring documents, okay? They are horrible, but they're a wealth of information. Make sure that there's just one HOA. I'm seeing some of these newer developments have 2 HOAs. I don't know why, but they do. Make sure you know that information. If your seller says, I have all the minutes, because I'm really good, I go to all the meetings, I have all the minutes, I have all the HOA documents, I don't want to pay to get the HOA documents, I'm just going to give them all to you. Dissuade your client from that. Tell them the $500, $600, $700, $1,000, whatever these crazy people are charging nowadays for HOA docs. Tell them it's worth it to get the complete package because it takes the liability off of them. The seller has an obligation to order the documents. If your seller's just giving piecemeal documents that they've gotten over the course of their ownership, you can't be sure that they didn't miss 1 month of minutes or 1 year of annual budgets or something. It's worth it to your seller to pay for those documents. It really is. Because I've seen too many times where people have not seen something, they haven't looked at it. Tell them to look at the annual budget because they don't want to be shocked when all of a sudden they move in and say, oh, here's a special assessment. It was in all the minutes. We weren't ready to assess it yet, but hey, welcome to your new home, and now you have a $1,500 special assessment. So just make sure you're reading all of these things. You know, you're not telling them or explaining these documents to them. You're just making sure that they've read them. When you do your AVID, don't say the words, looks good, A-okay, nothing noted, pretty entryway. Don't be descriptive. Don't say black mold on the ceiling. Make sure you go into every room. Now, I've had agents who have taken this to heart, and they will write in a 3-bedroom house where it says, you know, 4th bedroom, they'll say no 4th bedroom. Okay, obviously if it's a 3-bedroom house and you're doing an AVID on a 3-bedroom house, you don't need to say no 4th bedroom noted. Okay, there's no 4th bedroom. You don't need to do that. That you know, if there's no room, you don't need to put that you didn't go. But the rule is they want to make sure that you've gone into every single room that you could go into. If you go in and the kitchen is beautiful, don't say very clean. I used to teach AVID classes at listings. And we'd go around and everybody would do their AVID, then we'd sit and discuss it. And we had a knockdown, drag-on fight between two agents as to what is clean and what's not clean. One thought it was a pigsty, the other one thought it was immaculate. So one person's clean is another person's filthy. I'm a little OCD and I tended to agree it was a little dirty, but that's just me. Yeah. Right on every page.
Like if there's a room and there's nothing to know, instead they say inspected, nothing to know, general inspection.
I would not do that. What I would recommend you do is if you go in there and it's kitchen and there's nothing to be noted, there's no scuffs on the wall, it's all been painted, you can say stainless steel appliances. Don't say new ones, don't say brand new, but you can say stainless steel appliances noted. Corian countertops, wood floors. Not on every room, no, but only if you can't find something in the room, which that's not good anymore because we're seeing too many people getting sued. The agents get sued and the details on your AVID have saved agents and gotten them out of lawsuits because they've not put a check mark, because they've noted something. If you go into a totally empty room that has been freshly painted, has brand new carpeting, you can smell everything because it is, you can say, carpet in good condition, or, no scuff marks on walls. I know it sounds stupid, and that's generally not going to happen, but with, say, a flip, where they've just gutted the house and everything's brand new and nothing's been touched, just stay away from the words brand new, unless you can open that dishwasher and the handbook, the book is still in there and the tag is still on there, otherwise nothing is brand new. Yeah.
Okay, so like there's a laundry room, there's no laundry room, so it should connect with N /A, non-applicable is what I've been writing. Do you want me to leave it alone or?
Well, if it's a laundry room that has laundry hookups in it.
It doesn't have a laundry room or like.
Just a little room, like a little mud room?
I'm there, there's sometimes items like other room or like third bedroom. NA is what I've been putting down as non-applicable because there's no fourth bedroom or whatever.
Well, you can do that. You really don't have to. If there's no fourth bedroom or there's no laundry room, you don't have to write, no laundry room. I mean, obviously, everybody knows there's no laundry room. But you can put NA. You can. Sure. Just don't put NA on the kitchen. Don't put,
But what I'm saying is there's a lot of blank spots.
There's a lot of blank spots. You don't, I'm a firm believer
Somebody else will, so I was always taught to put NA next to it.
Well, nobody should be filling in your documents after the fact, but if they do, you're going to have a copy of the document, the original of what you signed, and they're going to say you didn't do it. But you can put NA. If there's no fourth bedroom, you can put NA. If there's no laundry room, you can put no laundry room. But
Kitchen appears original, or kitchen appears to be remodeled, or kitchen, a bathroom appears to be remodeled, or bathroom, I mean, is that what you say?
no, I would never say that. Because if I put kitchen appears to be remodeled and all they did, what does remodeled mean? Does that mean they put in new countertops? That's what I'm doing. And I've never been sued for my AVID. Yeah, I mean, she wanted to know if the kitchen had been, let's say the kitchen had been remodeled. Should you put, kitchen has been remodeled? I actually had a case where they did that. And the kitchen, in fact, had not been remodeled. The only thing that had happened was that they had put new appliances in, and they had painted the cabinets, and they had put in new countertops. Is that a remodel? No, the flooring was original, the cabinets were still original. So you got to be really careful when you say newly remodeled, especially newly remodeled. When I bought my last house, it said kitchen newly remodeled. My kitchen was newly remodeled 10 years prior to my buying it. Yes, it was not the original 1977 kitchen, but it certainly had not been newly remodeled. Fortunately, when is recently? Yes, if you know that they redid the kitchen in 2014, you can say kitchen redone in 2014.
It looks nice and new, you don't see anything half the time, and I don't see anything, and you should open up underneath the sink, see if there's any stage, or I made it. Okay, then don't. Okay. Should I know that if I see a stain, I just say stain, I don't say black stain, I don't say anything, but anyway, okay. Are you still not going to date with somebody on when you open the kitchen? Okay, good. And I said, you're getting yourself into trouble because when you open the kitchen, but you don't open the bathroom, and you follow open everything, and what if there's something else at night, I'm into a house where they have put the electrical outlets into a cabinet, it's called a cabinet, because this person didn't like to have appliances out on the big counters. So she plugged them all into there. Whether or not that's some sort of privacy thing, I can't get into it, but I'm not going to say anything about it. But she didn't open up all the cabinets. She would say, open the cabinets, and we're seeing all the electrical outlets were in the cabinets. So, you know, if you are going to open up cabinets, you better darn well open up their mouth.
I only know that you're tutoring us when you do that. When you do that, when you do TV. But no, she's not. The what?
White cabinet. Let's say, okay, so let's say if you go into the bathroom and there's like white quartz, don't even say quartz because unless you're 100% sure you don't know. White counter, or I see what you're saying, stainless steel, plastic, so that you're putting it in the room.
Just describing the room.
That just makes it like a fourth place for everyone. It just sucks that it has to be so tricky because it likes to actually be helpful if you have something to share, but you don't want to because it puts you in the scope. I think it's a blind. Have you or anyone you've ever like known or heard of that would be able to use
Oh yeah, that's it. It's with our eyes. We're just using our eyes.
Pacific Canyon Port, Toronto Valley, you know that going up, what is that called? today. I know, I'm a little worried about saying upgraded now. Anybody else have anything coming on they want to pitch or Connie?
I have two middle units, townhome is being proposed. They're open house, one to four this weekend. It's one of the price reduction, $789. The other one's $788. And the first one is maybe seen it. It's bigger than a lockbox. I need to sell it. Please don't buy it.
I mean, it's such a good time right now. Interest rates are so low, and there's still stuff that's like it's crazy how expensive it is. I was really hoping that parents and Whitney were going to cancel, so multiple offers, right? And I didn't get it. Anyway, yeah.
I said no special treatments.
No, I know. So, but anyway, it's a good market. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Yeah, I have done real estate in
Find
Colorado.
someone, stay surrounded by people that have the energy you want. If you want to be down with them to be negative, then by all means stay with them. But if you don't want to feel that way, then find people that are positive, that are making things happen, that can be a mentor or can be uplifting to get your mojo going. So this little offer is kind of interesting. Honestly, has anybody seen Redfin?
My dad does that. Yeah, I work with my dad in Colorado. He does that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if zero offers is. Is that when they're actually purchasing?
Oh, is this on now? Okay. So if anybody sees, or if there's like distressed sellers, or somebody that has to get out of a property very quickly, and they don't want to be on the market, then the Zillow offers could be something good, or if it's in a market that's just not moving and they don't have a choice. So they've been testing it in areas like Las Vegas, Arizona. It's really in Florida, the lower end. So basically, you may see it here, but it's going to be, maybe El Cajon, parts of Vista. Their target is below like 500,000, maybe 600. It's the lower end. They have to make a profit. So they're buying them under market. So, and you'll see, I have seen, Scott, have you seen out 15 Redfin? Any Redfin? Well, I've seen it. They're actually the seller. And if you look at the tax records, you'll see that Redfin bought it from the previous person. I actually showed something in Poway that I'm pretty sure it just, they do it, they're doing flipping. So they have to make the profit. It's not, I don't think it's gonna affect you. Keep in mind, when the markets are good, you're gonna see discounting, you're gonna see certain things. It doesn't last. Just be ethical, be above board, keep your mindset there, keep talking about and thinking about who your perfect client is. Those are the ones you want to work with. There's enough business for everyone, and if somebody wants to work with somebody that's unethical or gives away all their commission, go bye-bye. Right? Okay. Alrighty. David, you're yeah, exactly. David, do I know you? I'm so sorry. Oh.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Lynn is testing this week, actually. She's getting ready. She's been studying hard. She's been working really hard, and we're excited to have her join the CPB family. She comes from a very successful wedding planning career and looking to transition into something a little more challenging for her.
Well, you can manage brides, then you should be able to.
I'm already sure. Oh, this is going to. She goes, that's nothing. You'll see it. Yeah. So, anyway, please, everybody, welcome her. Wish her luck for the test this week.
talk about or you want to mention? Doesn't have to be. Is there a party going on? No, but Marie needs help. I have a 7.5-month-old grandson, and he needs a nanny because his nana cannot do it full time. So please call me, Marie Garber, if you know anybody. Thanks. He's adorable, but I might.
Part-time or part-time? Part-time or full-time?
Yeah, I just want to share a kind of marketing idea that we heard about. Somebody emailed Susan, and they said, you know, it was a congratulations email. She just sold a home in Scripps, and it said, congratulations on selling your home. I'm sure you probably met many qualified buyers during this process. And by the way, I have this home for sale in the same area. So if you want to introduce, if you want to introduce this home to your buyers, the other buyers that came to your other property, so it would take a little legwork on that. But if you wanted to, you had a property that's just not moving, look up other properties that have sold in the area and email those listing agents and let them know, hey, if you have any other qualified buyers from your listing, I have one right now too.
That could be something, again, it takes a little work, but if you're on a listing presentation, you're trying to set yourself apart from somebody, you could say it's the extra, little extra thing that you won't find other agents doing, where I'm actually calling recently sold to see if they have a list or other people that may have been, interested or agents they know that would be interested. So I'm going beyond what, putting the sign in the dark, so. All right, thanks.
Have a great weekend, everybody.